Yeah, so I'm Robin Temple. I had so much disassociation around one of the most difficult losses in my life was a sudden death of my son from an accident. And there's a way that I had done a lot of grieving and a lot of working on coming to peace and understanding, forgiveness, and so many things around that. But I was never fully available, I feel like, for other people, loved ones, my other children, my husband. Since then, there's just a way I've been just kind of a little arm's length, a little removed, a layer of protection that I grew. But really, I never could access the root of that. I knew that I was kind of filling the space with being busy and trying to do a lot to help my family and to help my clients versus being able to just be with them. And that was the piece. It's been 30 years that I still never got to the bottom of. So, and this gets intense, right? Because he was hit by a car, and then I was living very close because he was supposed to ride his bike home. And I got the call and raced over there because he'd been in a soccer practice, football practice. And so I was there pretty quickly, and he was already in the ambulance. So I had 2 other kids in the car, younger and older. So I jumped into the ambulance, and they were trying to resuscitate him, and saw him there, called to him. I had a moment before they told me, get out of the ambulance and we're going to the hospital. But in that moment, in this process, with the help of the medicine, I could feel what happened in my body, which is I saw him there, the shock of that. And in that moment, I could feel that I felt nothing from the chin down. Nothing. My body just went blank. My body just went numb. My feelings just went numb. And all I had was my thinking. And I'm thinking, I have 2 other kids in the car. Got to go to the hospital, getting into action. And that was, what actually happened. Of course, there were lots of feelings over those days. But in this process, I was able to just be in that numb emptiness of that moment and feel how pervasive it was. And slowly, as it started to thaw out, my body we're just following the body in this process. And the body just slowly, just totally collapsed into despair, into that deepest despair. Like there was not the slightest strength in my body. I was just limp and almost lifeless myself. There was nothing. It was just that hopeless despair. And then I was there for a while. And then the strangest thing happened, where then after emptying out all that pain and collapse, because I didn't collapse in the moment. I'm like high functioning.
You have to be there for your kids, right? And yeah.
And then after total collapse and really feeling that, then the strangest thing happened where my spine, because I was head down between my feet, and then my spine just slowly started to straighten out. And what came out of me was this sense of my whole body coming up to meet this, and it emerged was this sense of no, my protest, my absolute protest that this is not anything I want to be with or ever. This is not my life. This is not my plan. This is never, all of that, even though there's nothing that can change. But that's the other piece that was buried in there was my which is actually a kind of feudal power, but it is a power that was in my body that was like my voice, my voice, not just being a victim of this, like having my own voice to say, no, you know, and finding that in my body again was like, it was really a changer for me. And then I sat up and my whole body started vibrating and shaking and popping and releasing, and pockets of, like there was so much tension in my body that had been like held. And it was wild, just watching, it was like 10, 15 minutes watching all these twitches and releases. And then that was it for that day. But I'll tell you what, nothing's been the same since. My sense of being kind of a grieved, just that bereaved mother who has this wound that I'll have to live with forever, and the, that all changed. There's just a different sense of being able to be present in my own life and in my relationships and not walk around as a wounded mother. And I can't really describe exactly how, and that changes everything, but it did. There were just those pieces I hadn't ever really fully associated with. The total disconnect, the absolute hopeless despair, weakness, powerlessness, and the protest. And those all, it just occurred on their own. So anyway, that may be way more than you need to know, but that's just an example of one session. I've done so many. For example, this was just my little litmus test around my own nervous system, because I always had this sense of looming anticipation around the anniversary of his death. And every year I would feel my body start to, brace, and emotional, anguish start to surface. And I have to prepare for that day. And I just thought I would always be that way the rest of my life. It never occurred to me that that could change. And what was so surprising to me a few years ago, after a couple of powerful sessions, PSI sessions, I didn't even realize till the night of that anniversary that it was that day. I was calm, relaxed, happy. I didn't even think about the date. Even though the body always remembers the light and the time of year, I just couldn't believe that there would be so emptied out inside that I wouldn't be bracing and preparing. And the same thing the second anniversary after that. It's like my nervous system was calm for the first time around that anniversary. So that just shocked me, but it feels great.